Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bronx Music Heritage Center and our February program for a percussion discussion. My name is Elena Martinez, and I'm one of the artistic directors at the Bronx Music Heritage Center, and we're happy to have you here. I hope you're all staying safe and warm. It seems like our whole country is being battered by snowstorms and ice storms, but hopefully you're safe and warm and your family is. Tonight, hopefully you can come in and watch this incredible show. We have artists from all around the city and all around the country actually taking part in tonight's show. Before we get to the percussion discussion, I just want to give a shout out to our funders. The Bronx Music Heritage Center programming is supported in part by the National Endowment for the Arts, the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of Governor Andrew Cuomo and the New York State Legislature, public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with the City Council, the Lily Auchincloss Foundation, and the Laurie M. Tisch Illumination Fund. So tonight we're going to be looking at a different kind of percussion instrument that we haven't looked at so far in percussion discussion. We've gone outside the margins a little bit, had some piano in percussion discussion, as well as other sorts of drums and drum sets and congas. Tonight we're going to look at castanets from two different cultural traditions, from the Moroccan Gnawa tradition and the Spanish flamenco tradition, but you're going to get a little bit more on top of that as well. To introduce the artists, and to start off the program tonight, I'm going to bring to you our other artistic director, Bobby Sanabria.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Percussion Discussion, and the place to be, the BMHC. That means the Bronx Music Heritage Center. As always, we try to bring you things that from the world of percussion that are just fascinating to me, and if they're fascinating to me, I know they'll be fascinating to you. I'm going to start by introducing ladies first, the great JoDe Romano, who has a long history in the flamenco scene, not only here in New York City, but just worldwide, with José Greco Dance Company at the Joyce Theater, with the Charo Show in Las Vegas, with Joe Gray. She's been on the Dr. Oz show. She's choreographed for Broadway, etc., etc. She's taught at Alvin Ailey. I could go on and on and on, but it's just great that she's here with us tonight. And we have also with us, if I could get my notes here, let me see, where are my notes? Where are my notes, Elena? Where are my notes? Here we go, yes indeed, this is like live TV like in the old days. We have the great Samir Langus, who was born and raised in the city of Agadir, Morocco. This is a place that I've never visited, but I know a little bit about the music because I love the Gnawa music tradition. I was exposed to it traveling through Europe on various tours with various people like Bongo Santa Maria and as well as the great Mario Balza. And I got to meet people from Morocco, and I got to hear some of this incredible music. And the castanet tradition that they represent is incredible, and it is represented in full force tonight by Samir Langus, who was born and raised in the city of Agadir, Morocco. His family roots are in the Isawa Sufi tradition. He began learning Gnawa music in the tradition and other spiritual trance music of the West African minority of Morocco when he was 8 years old. The music of the Gnawa tradition is played on a lute-like sitar and the metal Qarqaba castanets, which he is a master of. He adds his own contemporary spin to it with jazz instrumentation. Langus has performed at Lincoln Center, the Music Hall of Williamsburg, Brooklyn Bowl, Barbers, and Terminal 5, as well as the Kennedy Center, Red Rocks Amphitheater, and the Coachella Festival. And he is the founding member of the New York City-based Enough Gnawa Ensemble. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. And he'll also be having a guest with him as well by the name of Nizzar Dahmani as well, that it will be joining him in a little while. But just to start off with this tradition, JoDe, can you tell us a little bit about give us a little brief, simple history, basic history of the castanet tradition? I know that the castanet tradition in Spain isn't the same all over Spain. There's different traditions. Could you explain that a little bit to us?
Sure. Well, they're a prehistoric instrument, which I thought was really neat. And I'm going to show you later the northern castanets and the southern castanets and the central castanets, how they're all played differently and at different times, different rhythms with different music. And it's just a beautiful. Thank you, first of all, for having me. I'm a big fan, I have to tell you. And for many years, I've been a big fan, and I've enjoyed teaching Elena. And I want to also just shout out to all my family in Texas. I hope they're all staying safe. I'm originally from Houston, and I guess everybody's heard Houston every day, so I want to send them all my love and enjoy this great show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, before we go on, I'd just like to remind everybody that if you have any questions for the artist, put them in in the FB, in the Facebook comment page, on the Facebook comment section, and we'll get to them toward the end of the presentation, and you'll be able to get answers from the artist. So, JoDe, tell us a little bit about the difference between the northern and southern style of the castanets.
So I'm going to actually demonstrate that at the end. The northern style is on the middle finger, and they have a different technique, and the southern style is on the thumb, as the classical Spanish are as well. And I'm going to go into depth with that when I have my little section at the end and give a little class also about all the different styles.
Great, fantastic. Samir, tell us a little bit about the Qarqaba, a little bit about the history of it. I know it's made out of metal, or the ones that I've seen are made out of metal. And it's fascinating. The Gnawa music tradition is so incredible. Tell us a little bit about the evolution of this instrument. Was it always made out of metal, or was it at one time made out of wood? How did it start?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you all for having me. And, it's always a pleasure to be back at the Bronx Music Heritage Center. I was first lived in the Bronx when I first moved to New York, and I just love it. And I always love the Bronx. So yeah, the castanets back, it was created, when the slaves were transported from the west to the northern of Morocco. And that's when they used to have like the handcuffs on their hands.
Wow.
And then the master used to ride the horse, and they used to just be walking while they have the handcuffs on their hands. So with that, they start creating rhythms just with their own hands, with the handcuffs that they used to have.
Wow.
But by the time they start creating, having a shape of the castanets, but not as we have today. It used to be like very not well, designed. It was just like a very, two pieces of metal that you just have to create the sound. But now we have, like, especially in Morocco, this was developed in Morocco, like the masters back home, they really did a great job in preserving this instrument and trying to design it in a beautiful way. If we see here, this is how the castanet looks now with this beautiful designs that we have. So yeah, that's how the castanets, we have them back in Morocco.
Now, with the instrument that you have there in the back, the stringed instrument, what is it called again?
So this is called the gimbri. It has multiple names. Some people call it the gimbri, some people call it the hejhouj, some people call it sintir, awisha, gugu. It's like a very so many different names in it.
And that is always used in conjunction with the castanets, always?
Yeah, this is always the lead instrument, and the castanet always follows the sintir.
Now, is it always 3 strings?
It's actually 2.5, because the middle string, we don't play it with the left hand. It's always open. So I call it just 2.5.
And why is it there, though? Does it vibrate at all? Does it do anything for the sound or anything?
Yeah, I mean, we always, it's like basically the top string and the middle string are the same note, but one is high and one is low.
So it's like octave, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. Now, you started learning this tradition when you were very young, right?
Yeah, I mean, back home, like when we were kids, we used to just go in the streets and you see like Gnawis passing by and playing these huge drums and big middle castanets. And we just keep on following them until we end up in a different neighborhood. And then we're like, what are we doing? Let's go back home. So that's how we grow up learning, by listening and watching these great masters.
Now, at the same time, besides the Qarqaba, are there any other percussion instruments that are used, like any types of tambourines or anything like that?
Yeah, we do have a drum. Like it's a huge, it's a big drum that we have.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now, when you guys were growing up, Nazir and you, were you listening to Western music as well, like pop music, rock and roll, funk, anything like that? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was that's what we used to listen to, like Bob Marley, like Jimi Hendrix. Like we used to listen to Michael Jackson, even though we don't know what they were saying. We just like go with the melody and just like act like yeah, we know what. So it was always there. It was always there.
Right. JoDe, about how did you get involved in this tradition? I know you dance, but how did when you dance flamenco, do you have to learn the castanets?
Well, in my class, you do.
Yeah.
A lot of people have lost the tradition of the castanets, but in my classes, you have to play them. When I was little, my mom got me into dancing. She was a dancer. She was actually on one of the Little Rascals episodes. You're probably too young to know about that show.
No, I've seen the repeats, like
But anyway, she got me into dancing when I was 3. And I tapped and I balleted and I did jazz. And when I saw flamenco, I just wanted to go to Spain and be a flamenco dancer. And she took me to see José Greco. And then I saw him on Ed Sullivan, which, of course, you're probably too young to know who Ed Sullivan is.
No, I know who Ed Sullivan is. I saw him.
And it inspired me. And so the castanets are part of flamenco. And I'm going to show later all the different styles. But the classical with piano and orchestra, and then, of course, the flamenco guitar that everybody knows about. And we play castanets when we dance. Not all flamenco dances use castanets because we have over 20 rhythms in flamenco. And I won't be able to do them all today, but all of them don't use castanets. The classical pieces do, the Northern Spanish do, which I'll show you later. And my castanets are made of wood, and some are fiberglass. The fiberglass are really handy when you're on tour because of all the climate changes. The wood breaks sometimes. Mm-hmm. So when we were on tours for months and months at a time, the fiberglass are also beautiful. They sound gorgeous. So there's wood and fiberglass, and then there's tela, which is a material with the fiberglass. It's woven in. So there's a bunch of different types of materials that the castanets are made from. Castañuela comes from the castaña, which was the chestnut, and the wood. Oh, okay. So they started with the wood. And then, of course, in Galicia, we play the shells. So in the prehistoric times, they used shells and rocks to make sounds, and then they turned it into the castanet. And prehistoric times, which is pretty neat. I love that.
Fantastic. Nizzar, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm trying to get Nizzar involved. So Nizzar, you play various drums. Tell us a little bit about some of the drums that are used in the Gnawa tradition.
Yeah, in Gnawa tradition, we play like a big drums, like tabal. We name is like a tabal. Yeah, the true name, Samir?
Yeah,
tabal. Yeah, and it's kind of, we play two rhythm, 6 in 8 and 4 in 4.
Now, these drums, are they like frame drums? Like they look like tambourines without jingles, or?
Yeah, like tambourine, big tambourine.
Yeah, basically it's like a big, the kick drum that you have like as a drummer.
Right,
like that big size, but it's all like a camel, like a goat skin that we use in it. And we only have 2 percussions that we use in Gnawa. We have the drum and we have the castanets, and then we have the instrument, the gambri. But some people, like if you want to do like fusion, we add other, like darabuka, we add like a drum, you add like a, different other Moroccan percussions that we have.
Right, fantastic. Is this music like everybody that grows up in Morocco? I'm curious about this because sometimes when you grow up in a city, and especially when you're influenced by popular music of the day, sometimes you lose your traditions. Like for example, if you talk to a young Puerto Rican kid today, they probably are not into salsa at all, but they're into hip hop. So is this the same in Morocco, or does everybody know about these traditions growing up?
you know, that's the difference in Morocco is all the kids, they are all involved into the tradition. Like it doesn't matter if you are listening to rock and roll or like pop music from America or from the West. We always, because that's how we do it. Like when we have weddings, we all hire. We're not gonna bring Michael Jackson or to the to the wedding. So we only bring local musicians, and that's like part of the ceremony. Like you have to have these traditional musicians that come and play. So the new generation, they grow up with that. Like it doesn't matter how fancy they are, how rich they are. We always bring Gnawa musicians to play in a wedding. We always bring other styles of music. It's all tradition. So that's why you have the kids, even though they listen to pop music or like hip hop or Western music, they are always attached with Gnawa. Like any kid in Morocco, you tell them, oh, Gnawa music, they'll be like, oh yeah, the castanets and the hat. And so it's in the blood. Like all the kids, they all know Gnawa. Now it's something like the past 5 years, everyone wants to be a Gnawi back home. Everyone just jumps into Gnawa. I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful, because they see that back in the days, people used to be Gnawis just because they love the music. But now actually people can make a living doing this music. It's well recognized by the UNESCO. It's recognized by everyone worldwide. Wherever you go, you talk about Morocco, you talk about Gnawa music. They go together. As soon as you mention Morocco, you mention Gnawa music. It's the only music that represents Morocco overseas. And we're very proud of that. And, that's why I'm here in the States trying to just spread the love and share this beautiful culture with the people who are not familiar with it.
Thank you, and we're glad you're here because you enrich the Bronx, and if you enrich the Bronx, that means you enrich the world. So
I'm gonna tell you something. Like we used to be in a place in the Bronx, like on Bathgate Avenue, and like close to Fordham. And we used to have like a house there where we used to play music until 6 a.m. and loud music with PA and all, like a sound system. And the beautiful part is no one complains. No one calls the cops. Like we just keep on playing. We have like Puerto Rican neighbors, like American neighbors, and people are very cool with it. Like no one complains. And that's the beauty of the Bronx. And that's why I always want to be, I always like to go back to the Bronx whenever I'm in New York.
great, fantastic. Now, JoDe, you played with somebody who's very iconic that I saw when I was growing up on TV, the great José Greco. Now, he has an interesting background. He became very famous and an ambassador worldwide for flamenco, but he really wasn't from Spain, was he? Tell us a little
No.
bit about him.
Well, actually, do I need to do my camera? I don't know what I'm doing here with this. Am I
Oh,
supposed to?
we can see you fine.
Oh, okay. Um, Jose was born in Italy, and he grew up in Brooklyn, well, far from the Bronx, but still Brooklyn. So when he came to Texas, he was an Italian American like I was, and I was so excited that you don't have to be from Spain to do flamenco. He made it worldwide. His company was over 50 years. I was in it for 20 years, and when I was little, we would go see him, and he just really brought flamenco to America and made it really famous. He was in a lot of movies, in the Hollywood movies, Around the World in 80 Days, the original one, A Ship of Fools, and he did his famous knee spin that I still teach my students some of his technique. But he was quite amazing. He was on Broadway as well. He was Dracula in the 80s. Yeah, he was a great Dracula with the cape, But he was
How did
like
how,
my family, really, so being in the company so many years.
how did he learn flamenco in Brooklyn? Like, how did
Well,
he?
this is a great story. How much time do we have? His sister was an opera singer at the Met, and Narina, amazing. And so he was a bad boy, so he would have to take her to her music lessons so he'd stay out of trouble. So when he went to her dance class, she couldn't do anything, and he stood up and he goes, "This is how you do it." And the teacher was like, "Okay, you're in." And so from then on, he was dancing and became famous, and because he was taking his sister to dance class.
But how did
In
he?
New York, actually.
Right. But who did he learn flamenco from? From a master?
Oh, he learned here and then he went to Spain. And that's what he told me when he came to Houston. He said, you know, if you want to be a flamenco dancer, you're not going to be able to stay in Houston. And so he said, you have to go to Spain. So he studied in Spain. He was with Pilar Lopez's company, who was one of the most famous flamenco dancers in the world, her and Argentinita. He traveled with them. And then he inspired me to also do the same thing. I lived in Spain for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, living and studying. And, you know, flamenco is really, you know, there's a choreography, of course, but it's really the dance of the people. It's really just at a wedding that goes on for 3 days, everybody dances. And so it's of course it's choreography, but I really living there saw how the people dance to express their feelings and for fun at parties.
So how did you meet him? Like,
So I was in Houston, and my mom, he was going to be in Dallas, and I told my mom I have to go audition, and I was 9, and she said, well, if you get the audition, you're not going to be able to do anything. You know, we're coming back. So I practiced my castanets in the car from Houston to Dallas, 2 hours, my poor mom, and I was horrible. And when we got there, I auditioned and took some master classes with him. And every year he'd come to Houston and I would go backstage. And finally he said, look, if you're really interested, when you finish high school, come to Spain. And he had a school in Malaga. And I went and I studied and I ended up dancing with him. And the rest is kind of...
wow, sounds like an adventure, man.
It was a dream come true. I tell my students, if you have a dream, it can come true. I mean, I'm in Houston, Texas, playing with castanets. And I just always wanted to be in Spain. I don't know why. And when I was there, I was in different dance companies in Spain that weren't American people to try to blend in. And nobody knew I was Spanish. And I wasn't Spanish until I spoke, because my Spanish is horrible. But they go, oh, my God, where are you from? But, you know, I studied for so many years and just immersed with these Spanish people.
So did they embrace you even though you were from the United States, or they were standoffish at first?
Eventually, they did. At first, the girls were like, you know, not going to have it. And then I told them, look, I'm just here to dance. That's all I want to do is dance. They thought I was, you know, out of my mind. Why are you here? Why aren't you in America? And so, yeah, afterwards, they all embraced me. It took a while, especially in the dance companies. You know, backstage that's a whole nother show. But the gypsies embraced me. It was interesting. I don't know if you know Fernanda and Bernarda de Utrera. I know Elena knows them. They're these 2 amazing gypsy lady singers. And they invited me to the gypsy wedding in Utrera near Seville. And I was like the only non-gypsy and American at this wonderful party. And they're all dancing. Everyone passed the guitar around. Everyone could play the guitar. Everyone danced. So the gypsies really accepted me. I don't know why, but I just fit in there. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I love it.
In a sense, you're a gypsy because you left the United States, and you know that's what a gypsy would do, travel. You know, so
Yeah.
but that's great. Let me ask Samir. Samir, you've gotten to play with somebody who is one of my heroes in jazz, the great Randy Weston, and I know that Randy, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he lived in Morocco for a time, didn't he?
Yeah, he lived in
pianist?
Tangier. He lived in Tangier for like I think 6 years. He lives in Tangier.
Right, the great jazz pianist, African American Randy Weston. Now,
Yeah.
you got to work with him. How did he come to know of your work?
Well, he knows about Gnawa music back maybe before I was born, even,
Right, right.
because he was doing some work with the great Muallim Abdullah Al-Gurd from Dar Gnawa in Tangier. And when he came, you know, we start knowing each other here in New York, and that's when we sometimes he invites us, you know, to go to play in his house in Bed-Stuy. And you know, whenever we go, he just like, you know, Samir, like, you know, just come and eat. Like the table is full of food, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much, Mr. Randy, for the food. He said, this is nothing. If you see what you guys gave me back home, this is nothing. So God bless his soul. We miss him so much, and he was such a basically he was the first Gnawa ambassador in the United States.
Would you say he was the first jazz musician to embrace Gnawa music?
Yeah, he was the first jazz musician to embrace Gnawa music and to bring Gnawa music to the United States and to share it with the world. So, and he gave it so much respect, and he's always talking so highly about Gnawa, because whenever I talk to him, you know, he's like, Samir, the music that we have in jazz, like, you know, some techniques that use in a piano, he said, you guys do that same thing on a gumbre without even noticing what you guys doing. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, because we don't know, we just play. So he has so much respect for Gnawa music, and we really love him, and we miss him so much.
Right. Now, Nazir, how did you meet Samir? Nizar, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Did you hear me?
Yes. How did you guys meet? How did you meet Samir? Are you
Yeah,
boys friends or what?
Yeah, we was friends in Facebook.
Oh,
We was friends in Facebook before I came here. We was just talking in Facebook, but when I came here to the country, yeah, I sent him message and we meet here in Brooklyn.
no kidding.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is that what? Do you live in Brooklyn now?
Now I live in Bronx.
Oh, great, great. Well, you made the right decision. You know.
That's what a friend used to tell me. He's like, you know, all the neighborhoods, all the boroughs in New York, like, you know, we have Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, Staten Island, and we have the Bronx, like always the Bronx, you know, it's like
Yeah.
something, you know.
Right. Well, we have a question here from Peggy, who's viewing right now. She wants to know, Samira, can you please demonstrate how to hold the castanets, the Qarqaba? So she has a pair, but doesn't know how to hold them.
Well, that's something that's the tricky part for the castanets, you know. It's all about, you know, Judy knows what I'm talking about. It's all about how you hold them, the position, you know. So I have two sizes of castanets. I have the small ones and I have bigger ones. So I'm gonna use the small castanets. Basically, in each castanet, we have two chords. One should be longer than the other one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the longer chord, you use it for your thumb, you know, like this.
Ah,
And then sometimes you have to keep your index in the back, like this. Basically, you are controlling the castanet from moving around, because if you have it open, then there is no way you can control it.
right.
You know, you just keep on playing, and you are not controlling the castanet. So you use these two fingers, like your pinky finger and your index, to control the back of the castanets, so it's not moving around. And then your thumb, you are using it in the back. So you're gonna have the back like this. This is the position that you're gonna hold your castanet, basically, just like this. And you have, when you hit them, they have to be aligned together, like this, not like this, because I'm not gonna get the good sound. They always have to be like this. And be careful, like if you start playing them, you may bite yourself, you know, like in here, because some people will just try to play them and then they're like, yeah, but I don't know, like I kind of keep biting myself. I don't know what's going on. So you have that on the right hand and then the left hand. So basically when you play, it's just gonna sound like this. This is the right position. So when you are playing them, you don't feel that the castanets are moving around, and you're gonna get a clean sound.
Samir, if you could move the microphone or stand behind the microphone with the Qarqaba so that we could hear the castanets, because when you put the castanets in front of the microphone, we can't hear it. So,
oh, okay. I thought that you're gonna say they are so loud, because that's what I'm scared about. They're always loud. So yeah.
I don't hear them.
You don't hear them?
I don't.
Okay,
Is it
maybe
just me? It might be me malfunctioning.
maybe it's because the sound is very loud. That's why it's not allowing them to be heard. Let me see. Can you try now?
Yeah, you can barely hear it. Maybe if you
Okay.
move the microphone down, or
Now?
it starts. We start to hear it, and then all of a sudden it cancels out.
Yeah,
So-
because of the. Okay, let me do this. Let me do
According
this.
to Jorge, our engineer, he's saying it's not going to work
Okay, let me do this.
because of the setting in Zoom.
He
Okay,
showed
so
me a
from
setting
this-
for Zoom. Can he show him real quick, the setting?
How can you do? Can you check this now?
While you do the setting on Zoom, I'm going to ask JoDe a question.
Okay.
So JoDe, you worked with somebody that we all know from my youth because she was ubiquitous on TV, and she was kind of like, in a sense, a clownish kind of character that she would play when she would be interviewed constantly. But then she would sit down and play guitar and do this, and her name is Charo, and I don't know if is she still alive or is,
Not only is she alive, I wish I knew who her plastic surgeon was. She looks amazing. I mean, she looks better now than she did in the 70s, which I hate to say that. Wait. Okay, she's telling me something. She looks great. She's still around. She's still jumping around. I have a funny story about her. These castanets I'm going to show you later on. I've had them since I was 9 years old. And she wanted me to paint them with glow-in-the-dark paint. So when the lights went out, and I refused to do it. I wasn't going to do it. I was 17 and I was like really, feisty. And so we had, she got really mad. I was not going to paint my wood castanets with glow-in-the-dark paint. So I told her she could buy me a pair and I'd paint them if she wanted to do that. But, it was great working with her because Dom DeLuise and Joel Gray and all these amazing people worked with her. It was incredible. Frank Sinatra was across the street. I mean, it was a great time in Vegas.
now how is she looked at in Spain? Is she looked at as anybody authentic? Is she looked
Nobody
at,
even looked at her. I mean, she she came here and she married Xavier Cugat. Of course, you know him.
yeah,
He was
band
the
director.
band leader, Coogie, and he was like 100 and she was like 20, and there you go. And so she was in his show, and he made her really famous. And then she carried on her show without him. But he would come to all of our shows and make sure she was behaving. And he was quite a character. He used to conduct with the Chihuahuas,
Right.
Coogie. But
Now
she
we-
wasn't famous in Spain at all. She was a nun, and then I don't know what else, and then she met him and came here.
Now what about now? I would see her playing guitar. Was that really her playing guitar on TV?
I don't know if Danny Zeff is watching right now. I invited him to, but it was usually him playing, and he's an amazing guitarist.
And
She,
she-
he would tune her guitar for her, and then she's a very good guitarist. I mean, now she's really good, but he helped her a lot, and she loves the guitar, and she's really good. She had the whole Sahara Orchestra behind her, and she would play Malagueña, which I'm going to do for you guys later. But flamenco, she wasn't, but she was a great showman, and that was like her serious time of the show, and she loved doing it.
Great. So did you tour with her a lot, or exclusively work with her in Las Vegas?
Well, we did Vegas. We did all the Sahara hotels. I think they've tore it down by now, but it was Vegas, Tahoe, and Reno, and then we went on this horrible tour. She'd never been on tour before. And it was just a big disaster because, how it is being on tour. I don't have to tell you. I mean, it's like clockwork. And she was, it's a bit different than being on tour with José Greco. But we toured, and then we were back in Vegas. I was with her 3 years, and then I made money to go back to Spain. And José Greco actually came to the show, and he goes, kid, you really need to get into this distinguished theater, he said. He wanted me out of Vegas, but I loved it. I had so much fun. I still keep in touch with a lot of my friends from that show, and it was a lot of fun. It wasn't flamenco. We were her background dancers, and we were the only dancers that really had a lot of clothes on because she wanted to be the one that everybody focused on.
Right.
Had a lot of clothes, and we did a little flamenco. It was kind of, Vegas, more jazz, I guess.
Right. I just wanted to ask you about the hand movements in flamenco. Are they rooted in India?
Yes, I think it's from the Indian mudra. You know how they paint their hands and tell a story. And although we don't have a story, maybe the story got lost along the way. Like we haven't been told what the story is, so maybe we should be careful when we start moving on. But you know, the muñeca is they call it floreo too. Let me get here so you can see. And it's the in and out is the only motion we do. The guys do two fingers and they do a sword, but they also do these hands too. Everybody nowadays just does it everything. But traditionally with José Greco back in the 40s, you know, he would, that's before I was born, but he would do, you know, the sword, you know, hands like a sword and, you know, very strong, and then, you know, soft. But I do think it originates from the Indian mudra, to answer your question.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Samir, we have a question here. Let me see who is it. Saliu Suso, who is from Africa. Asks Samir, is there a meaning to the Gnawa name of the Qarqaba?
The Qarqaba.
Yeah. Is there a meaning to it? Like the name, does it mean something?
Okay, the name means like when you drop something, it makes like that noise of metal. You know, it's like if you drop your, you know, the pot or like something that's like, you know, one of the dishes in the kitchen that's made of metal. It's like the sound, we call it like tqarqib, like, you know, makes that qab, you know, that noise.
Right,
So
right.
that's why the Qarqaba comes from. It's like, you know, because if you hear the sound of the castanets, basically it's like a lot of noise. That's why I'm shocked that it's not working.
Well, let's try one more time, see if you can demonstrate it, and then we're going to go to the performance part of the program tonight. See, try one more time, see if it works.
Yeah,
now.
this is what I did. I tried to have them very low on the setting, so I don't know if you're gonna hear it now.
Yeah.
You hear them now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I did. So that's basically, this is the 4/4 rhythm that we have, because basically, as Nizzar said, we have two main rhythms, and then we have a rhythm that's broken. Basically, it's in between.
Mm-hmm. Great. I'm going to hand it over now to Elena, who's going to go to the next section where you're going to get to perform now. So I'm going to hand it over now to Elena Martinez.
Hey everyone. So I want to thank Samir, Nizzar, and JoDe for taking those questions and talking to us a little bit about their castanets and their percussion instruments. Right now, we're going to start on a little bit performance, sort of performance demonstrations. First, we're going to have Samir and Nizzar are going to show a little bit about how these instruments are played. We are on Zoom, and they are in different states, so we can't play they can't accompany each other, but they're going to show us a little bit about how the instruments work, you know, in the music, in their repertoire, in the Gnawa music repertoire. So with that, I want to introduce, and then after that, JoDe's going to do some demonstrating some of the Spanish castanets as well. But right now, we're going to have Samir and Nizzar perform.
Thank you, Elena, for having us again. And so I'm going to start with the castanet. Like, you know, as we see here, this is how we hold the castanets, like this. You know, you always have your thumb on the longer cord, and you have the short cord, and you have your back fingers trying to control the back of the castanet. The rhythms, we have two. So I'm going to start with the first one. We call it Qarqaba. It's on 4/4. It goes like this. Basically, the right hand is always doing this. The left hand is doing this. When we put them all together, you're going to get this sound. This is the intro of the 4/4 rhythm that we call Qarqaba. This rhythm can start very slow, and then it's gonna go super fast, depending on the master who's playing the gambri. And you're just gonna be leading and listening to him, and you're just gonna keep following his rhythm. let's say how we can accelerate a little bit and how we can go a little faster. So basically, this is how we create the trance. Like when the master is playing and the song is very fast at the end of the song, you have a person who's going in trance. So you have to keep on playing super fast so that person can really get that spirit out of him or out of her, you know. Um, if you guys have any questions, you can just drop them on the comments and then we'll respond, we'll answer them. Now we're gonna go to the second rhythm that we have, which we call it msarah. It's basically the 6/8, and usually it's very like we say it's very straight and it's very typical in Morocco. It's the 6/8. It goes like this. I hope the audio is a little bit sounding good. I'm not
No,
really sure.
we're still having the same problem. Jorge, if you could come on and explain to him on the mic what to do. Jorge, if you're listening. Says here, Samir, you have to do you have to go to audio settings and go to suppress background noise, then set it to low.
Okay. I did it on low now. I had it on medium before. So let's check low. I did it on low now. So let's see how the sound is now.
Now we can hear it. Yeah.
Now you can hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you could demonstrate the first rhythm again and,
okay,
and
so
the name of it as well.
Okay, the first rhythm, we call it Qarqaba, and it's 4/4. It goes like this. Basically, the right hand is going like this. The left hand is going like this. And together, they go like this. And this can go for like minutes, you know, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depends on how long is the song. And the rhythm can accelerate from slow to fast. You can start it, and this same rhythm, like it can go very, very fast. I'm gonna try to go a little faster now. So that's the 4/4 rhythm. How was the sound?
Good.
Okay.
Ole.
Great. Sounds very clear now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now we're gonna go to the 6/8 rhythm that we call lemsarah. Basically, it's the typical Moroccan pop music rhythm that every pop song in Morocco uses this rhythm, basically. So this is the 6/8 rhythm. It can go faster as well. This is the thing with Gnawa music. Every song, every rhythm starts slow and then it goes faster. rare when we see the songs that really finishes the same way how we start. We always start slow and we finish very fast. Now if I go very fast on the 6/8 rhythm, this is how it's gonna be. This is why we call them Qarqaba in Morocco, because they make a lot of noise. So imagine 6 pairs of this in a lila, how much noise they're gonna make.
6 pairs.
Oh yes,
And then
pairs
the
of this.
gimbri. How can you hear the gimbri then if there's 6 pairs of it?
That's the magic, you know. That's the spirit magic that we have. Back in the days, we didn't have any speakers for the gimbri. It was very acoustic, and you can hear the gimbri. But now we have some amplifications. You know, you can hear the sound of the gimbri very clear. Now we're gonna go to the broken rhythm, which is usually used in the drumming part. The intro.
Hold on one second. I just want to review. So the rhythm in 4/4, the first rhythm was Qarqaba,
Yes.
and the second rhythm in 6/8 was what?
مسرح.
How would you spell it?
M S E R E H.
Mesere. Oh.
Yeah,
fantastic.
مسرح means like very straight, very open. That's why it's very open. And the broken rhythm, it goes like this. Basically, it's like the horse, you know? It's basically just like the horse. It can be like the 6/8, but it's not, because
Right,
the
right.
6/8 can go like this. And the Qarqaba, the broken rhythm is like this. And at the end of the broken rhythm, when it goes faster, it becomes 6/8. I'm gonna demonstrate that like this. You see the transition?
Right, right.
From the broken one, it becomes 6/8. And if I'm gonna play all these rhythms all in one without stopping, because they are all in each other. So I'm gonna play the Qarqaba starting with it. Now this is Qarqaba. Now المسرح. Now I'm gonna play the broken one. It's a little bit confusing,
Right,
but
does that have a name? Does the broken rhythm have a name? Oh.
now we just call it Mheves. Like Mheves, that's the name of it. Basically broken in Arabic.
How would you say that? How would you spell that? You know?
Mheves, MEHERES.
Meheres, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, that's like the name in Arabic of broken.
Wow. So if I went to a bodega and the gentleman spoke Arabic and I say, hey, this bottle of soda is Meheres, he would understand?
Yeah, he's gonna understand it. He's gonna be like, oh, where did you get that? Be like, oh, my friend from Morocco.
Right. Fantastic. Now we have a question here from Mira Naif, or Naif, I'm sorry. Mira Naif wants to know, is this a typical rhythm for the Gulf region? The first rhythm, the Qarqaba.
Well, I'm not really sure if that can be a little bit similar, but it has like some of the different swing in it. The swing may be different. It may not be the same as Gnawa, because you cannot play any swing rhythm within the Qarq2 in Gnawa music. It has to be straight Qarq2, like a Gnawa rhythm.
Right.
But if you're doing like a fusion, maybe you can mix it with other like Khaliji music. You can try to do something like that. But if you play the traditional music, the rhythm has to be very straight, just like our ancestors left it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to go now back to JoDe with. Oh, Nazir. Yes, I'm sorry. Nazir, would you like to demonstrate something for us?
Oh,
Yeah, Nizzar can do some because in Gnawa now we have the cajon but we don't play the cajon basically in the lila, like the traditional ceremony. We don't use the cajon, but it's something. It's a beautiful percussion that we add to the performance. Like you can have like a gimbri, like the santir, and you can add like the cajon, or like you can play a djembe or any other
Darbuka.
instrument, or darbuka. So Nizzar, he's gonna try to demonstrate like all these three percussions for us today.
I don't know if everybody here good.
Yes, we
Sounds
do.
good. Sounds good.
Nizzar, if you can demonstrate the just like the rhythms I did, 4/4, and then you can do the المسرح, and then you can do the broken one.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the broken one first because in Gnawa we play with the broken, and the first rhythm is the broken.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the broken. Now I'm gonna play Qarqaba 2. Qarqaba 2 we play 4/4, like funk, like in the drums in djembe we play like funk. 1, 2, 3, 4. With the right hand we play like 4/4, and we add in the left like 6/8. You see like 6/8, but it's 4/4. Now I'm gonna play مسرح. مسرح is a 6/8. So we play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Everybody here good?
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna play the broken and مسرح and all together. What's that?
Hi, I want to thank Nazir and Samir for showing a little bit of the rhythms from the Gnawa Moroccan tradition and the castanets. Thank you so much. And thank you. I know we're having to deal with some always Zoom and the technical issues with that, but thank you guys for showing us that. And now we're going to go to a little.
That was fantastic. Thank you for the education.
And now we're going to go to the Iberian Peninsula, to Spain, and JoDe's going to show us a few different ways that castanets are played in Spain. But first, I just want to say, JoDe was my teacher has been my flamenco teacher for many years. I first started learning flamenco when I lived in Eugene, Oregon. My flamenco teacher I met out there was the only Puerto Rican I met when I was out in Oregon. I was so happy, Martita Woods, and I'm hoping they're watching tonight. Interestingly enough, Martita from New York City moved out to the West Coast, and her teacher was from the Cancino family. She worked with the Cancino families. And the Cancinos also have a Brooklyn connection like José Greco. The Cancino family, one of the daughter was Margarita Cancino, who most of you might know as Rita Hayworth. Check out old Rita Hayworth movies and check out her dancing. She has flamenco training there. And so my first castanet, that I first learned castanets were from Martita in Oregon. And I don't know if JoDe can be the judge of what my castanet playing is like now. But so I want to, but also one other thing, JoDe has a Bronx connection. Her uncle, Bruce, used to be the stage manager at Ostos Center for the Arts and Culture in the Bronx. So it all comes full circle. So right now, JoDe's going to show us a little bit of the regional differences of castanets. She's going to first show us the jota from northern Spain, which is interesting because this is what everyone thinks of when they think how castanets are played. This is the first thing they think of. She's going to show us the regional differences. Then she's going to give everyone, if you have castanets in your home, get out your castanets. She's going to give you a mini lesson to cigarias, which is one of my favorite rhythms of flamenco. And you can ask some questions in the Facebook thread. I'll pass them along to JoDe. And if you have any questions, but otherwise, JoDe Romano.
Thank you, Elena. I just want to say two things I didn't know that you studied with Margarita Cancino's family, Rita Hayworth. You mentioned my uncle. He did a Broadway workshop about Rita Hayworth. And can you hear me and see me okay? I'm not sure. I just see a big E on my screen. Am I good? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Jorge. So anyway, Bruce Lumpkin, the uncle, he did a beautiful Broadway workshop about the story of Rita Hayworth. It's quite sad if you ever read the book. She had a tragic life, but she was an amazing dancer and singer. And I played castanets in this Broadway workshop, the first and only time I've ever worked with my uncle. And it was quite exciting because every time she was traumatized, my castanets were like a memory of her and her father's abuse and when she was a Spanish dancer. So at that time, the castanets were in a Broadway show of being just like a flashback of her old memories. So that's a neat connection, Elena. I didn't know you studied with them. And then Seguiria, I'm going to get to that later. But can everybody see me okay? I just see like a little postage stamp here. Am I good? Do I need to do anything? Jorge says yes.
You're good. You're good.
All right. That's cool, though, Elena. I didn't know you studied with her. And yes, your castanets, they have to be good if you're in my class, right? So all of my classes, I teach castanets, part of the class. I'm at Ballet Hispánico on Saturdays and Wednesdays at the Joffrey. And these are the Jota castanets. I really can't see myself, so I'm like really small. But they go on the middle finger. Can everybody see that okay? And they have elastic. Now, my Jota teacher was the amazing Pedro Azorin. And he used to get so annoyed when people would wear their flamenco castanets, and I'm going to show you that later, doing Jota. It just drove him nuts. So he was also in José Greco's company before I joined. And an amazing man. He was from Huesca, which is in Aragon, really near France, actually. So we wear really warm clothes because it's freezing up there, and we wear the castanet on the middle finger, like you've probably used to seeing. And so we play. I'm going to show you the technique. It's a little different. And then our arms are different. So we're moving our wrists and our hands, and the castanet is hitting on the back. And Shamir, I really enjoyed your castanets. I'm going to show you a similar rhythm that we have in flamenco that's also like a gallop. And I think from the raindrops and the train sounds of a train, all the different sounds, I think they took their instruments and recreated those sounds, because we have a gallop sound too. So these are the Jota castanets from Aragon, on the middle finger with elastic, in honor of my wonderful teacher, Pedro Azarin. José Greco brought me to the class, and he said, "Pedro, this is JoDe." And my name in Spanish isn't very nice, so it became a big joke with him. He was really funny, and I won't go into all of the name, what it is, but he loved it that my name was that. And he had a funny sense of humor and a great teacher. Viva la Jota was our dance. The next castanets I'm going to show you are from Castellón. They were played for royalty, so it's a lot different than the folk dances of northern Spain that I just showed you. These are some of my favorite castanets. They're little wood ones. Can you guys see okay? I see myself as a little stamp, so I'm not sure. Can you guys see it okay? All right, I guess so, or you tell me. They're teeny weeny and they're wood. And now the reason I have a muffler on is because I'm going to play for you. Oh, there I am. The host. Okay. I'm going to play for you from my CD, little plug. JoDe Romano presents the Spanish Classical Piano. Now, a lot of my students didn't even know that you could play castanets with piano. So I wanted to tell all of you about it. This pianist is amazing. His name is Felix Venturas, and he's also from Texas, which is really funny because I met him here in New York. He played for all the ballet classes and just genuine. I gave him all this music and said, "I want you to play this." And we're going to do a CD. And he was like, "Oh my God." So this is Felix. And that's the reason I have the mufflers on for now. I will take them off, but I want you to hear his piano. And then my castanets. And again, this is from my CD. And the little wood ones, they're so cute, aren't they? Tiny. And I'm going to let you hear them in a minute, but I'm playing them on the CD. And so I'm calling it lip sync. I'm castanet syncing. And this is Malagueña. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. And Samir, Jorge, let me make sure my sound's okay. Here we go. Malagueña. I'm just going to do part of it so you can hear it. Wait. Ole. So I'm going. The left keeps the rhythm. I'm going to show you later. Okay. I'm sure you're familiar with that piece, Malagueña. So it's interesting how Samir's castanets, our left one looks like a bull. And later I'm going to teach you a little class. But I'm just going to show you, excuse me, the left one's like a bull. It's just these two fingers. It keeps the rhythm while we dance. I actually played these at the Metropolitan Opera here in Carmen, Zeffirelli's Carmen. And it was just amazing to play with that orchestra, I have to say. I have some beautiful memories that I live on now. We are all living on our memories here. With the theaters closed, that was amazing to get to play there with that orchestra. I have to tell you a funny story. One night I was sitting in the orchestra pit. I used to like to just sit there before the show. And the guys in the orchestra were like, "What are you doing here?" I like sitting there and looking at the theater. But I didn't play in the orchestra. We danced and played. So the right hand is a roll. And the left is just the rhythm of your dance. Or if you don't have music, you keep your own rhythm with that left one. Similar to the Moroccan. And so we go left, right, left, both. Ta-dia-ta, ta-dia-ta. And then the cariatilla is a continue. Let's see how I can show you. And then we can do 2 cloche pas. So these are the wood castanets, and that classical piece that you heard, Malagueña, was played, that kind of music was in Castellón, in front of the palace in Madrid, inside the palace, and they were dancing and playing these kind of castanets for the kings and queens. But then we get down to Andalusia, which all of you are familiar with flamenco. So let me get those. These were my wood castanets. And I have a cat named Tony the Tiger. He has one baby castanet. He runs by with it. Everybody here has to play castanets. All right, my fiberglass castanets. In flamenco, we have over 20 rhythms. And like I said before, unfortunately or fortunately, I can't do all of them today. But one of my favorites, and I knew it was one of Elena's favorites, is the seguirilla. And it's a very dramatic and, you know, flamenco's like the blues. There's a different mood for every part of the music. I remember being in Texas and hearing a song, and the words were, "I'd rather be blind than to see you go." And I thought, oh my God, that's so flamenco, because that's what they sing about, you know, something tragic like losing a loved one to another person, or, you know, there's always a story. So seguirilla, again, the left castanet, these are my fiberglass ones, and they're also on my album cover. I'm going to show it to you one more time. I took the photo at the 92nd Street Y on their piano, and these are the castanets. I have 2 instructional DVDs, and I'm going to show you our first exercise that's me when I was young and skinny. And this is DVD 1. I'm going to show you exercise 1, and we're going to do it all together after I show you this beautiful seguirilla. So seguirilla, again, the left hand is doing the rhythm, and the right hand is doing the roll. The right is the melody, and the left is just keeping the rhythm. So let me give you this music. Live TV, seguirilla. Elena, I'm dedicating this to you. Ole! Everybody can say ole. This is in 12. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you remember that exercise, Elena?
Yep. Yes.
You do? I should have made you join in with us. I didn't think of that. I'm still thinking about the Margarita Cancino story. I've known you over 20 years, and I never knew that story. So that left castanet is keeping the rhythm. And don't they look like wood castanets? Let me get my wood one. I mean, you can't really, you can just see it. They're different sizes, of course. This was the wood. It has like a little blonde. And this is the fiberglass. And the Jota castanets are also fiberglass. They're little. And then Tony the cat, his is really little. He only has one. I don't know where the other one is. But that left castanet's going to keep the rhythm. So put your castanets on. On DVD 1, I talk about how to put them on, and I say when your thumb turns purple, then you have them on right. And again, I'm just a messenger. I was in Spain 20 years, and this is, you know, I'm giving you what they told me. The knot goes on first, and the other part of the castanet is right on your cuticle. And they have to, the reason they have to be on tight, all kidding aside, let's see if you can see. I don't have a background. See how they, there you can see. See how they open up? If you don't have them on tight, they stay closed. But if they're tight, they open. When Samir did his horse sound, let's see, we go. Doesn't that sound like a gallop? It's the same as what you were doing. And then the train. Okay, so if you don't have a castanet, I sell castanets, by the way, if you need any. I have a whole department full. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use your thumb and just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Always start with the baby finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. And after, you know, it took me 100 years. I was really horrible. I still feel bad. I practiced in the car with my poor mother. The left just answers everything. It's the male castanet, and it's, excuse me, a deeper sound. The right is the female and does the melody. So let's try exercise 1 from DVD 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the left answers. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. So just like piano or guitar, this is your warm-up. Even if you have a beautiful roll that took me 100 years, this warm-up keeps your fingers strong, just like you would with piano and your scales. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. So let's do it a little slower. If you don't have a castanet, just touch your thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. The left is called ta, ria-ta, pi-ta, clash-pa. So there's a little vocabulary that tells you what to do with the sound of the castanet. Ta is just when you do both of them together. Two bowls. Also on DVD number 1. There's the train. And clash pa is when you hit them together, clash and then pa. And when you hit them, it's like you're doing palmas. Your hands are together, clash pa, clash pa. So the right hand's on top of the left, clash pa. So exercise 2, do you guys want one more exercise, Elena? Do we have time? Okay, I'm going to say yes. So exercise 2
Yes,
is...
go on, I'm sorry. Couldn't find it.
Can I do one more?
Yeah, do one more.
Okay, I don't want you to get the cane. 1, 2, left. Second one, left. Third one, left. Top one, left. This is really good to get those fingers strong. I learned again in Madrid with Paco Romero. And again, they love my name was JoDe in Spanish. It's a bad word. And they just, it made the class really entertaining. But he would scream and go crazy because he really wanted us to have great castanets. We don't teach that style anymore of screaming and going crazy. But I always think of him because he always wanted us to play each exercise really strong. And that's how you get strong fingers to later play the role. See how the left just answers? And if the music is fast, the left goes faster. It's like a metronome. It keeps the rhythm. 1, 2, left, 2, 2, left. So you're going to do 2 beats with each finger on the right. The castanets are held like a first position in ballet, a high fifth. They're never Mickey Mouse ears, so you never stick them out. They always come in, you scoop, you scoop. So when I'm playing, you don't really see them. You don't show the castanet. Another reason I didn't want to paint them with glow-in-the-dark paint. 1, 2, left, second one left, third one left, top one left. So if you practice those 2 exercises, 1, 2, 3, 4 left, and 1, 2 left, that's exercise 1 and exercise 2, you'll eventually have really good castanets. You could, there's no like mystery to it. You just practice and you get better. Okay. Do I have questions? I hope I don't.
I think no, we didn't get any questions, but JoDe, thank you so much for this presentation, and we want to give a big round of applause, everyone, for JoDe and also for Nizzar Dahmani and Samir Langus for taking part in this percussion discussion this week. And we want to give a big shout out to Jorge Vasquez. He's always behind the scenes, making sure everything runs, all the technical parts run. So big shout out to Jorge Vasquez. And just want to remind everyone, next week we have some more programs coming up. We have our premiere of our new series, Music by the Book. Bobby and I will be interviewing different authors who write books about with musical themes and musical topics. And Bobby, who's a DJ on WBGO, will be interviewing his fellow DJ, Sheila Anderson. And also next Thursday, we have another installment of our Voices for Justice. Our artists talk about their work in social justice movements. And we're going to be presenting a program on Black and Brown solidarity. We're going to present some young hip hop artists and activists, Aja Black and Divine RBG, as well as Abiodun Oyeweli and Felipe Luciano of the Last Poets, and Felipe is also of the Young Lords. And they're going to talk about the issues that affect the brown and black communities and how artists and activists can work together on them. So everyone, thank you so much for attending. Everyone keep safe and keep warm, and we'll see you soon at the Bronx Music Heritage Center.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Cuídate.
And remember, the pandemic is only temporary. The music is forever.
Yeah, we need to come back.